Are you growing tired of the persona that you've been playing? This individual that's been trying to protect itself, and in order to do so, had to present a particular image, something maybe catered, or something that you've just sort of hidden away and avoided really expressing who you truly are out of fear of something being revealed. If that's your story, I want to share something with you today in hopes that we can sort of maybe change the interpretation or reimagine what you can do with that scenario and move towards a more integrated soul ego connection. And if you want to go deeper into my community, just click that button below. It'll send you over to my website where you can just put in your information and you'll be part of my monthly newsletter. And as a thank you, I will send you my 3-step identity rebuilding guide. And this is part of my rule of 3 method to rebuild purpose back into your life, rediscover who you truly are, and live a ego soul integrated lifestyle. First thing to know is everybody has a performer, the persona. Everybody does. And the question is, if there's a persona we're playing for an X amount of time, for months and years, at what point do we get to a spot where we say, I don't know if that's who I want to be anymore? Or the individual I'm trying to play is in contradiction to this new change that's happening within me. Now, something I want to ask you, and I'm sure you've all felt it, that there must be something within you that maybe doesn't come up often, but it alerts you, it's calling on to you for something. It's calling on to you to integrate. Now, but what does that mean? The integration process means turning our eyes instead of the outward, turning them back inward towards ourselves to confront old memories, traumas, complexes that have been gripping us for such a long period of time. And they can only grow in power because, they've brought so much pain, so that we've looked away, we've tried to suppress them, bottle them up, but then understand that as we bottle, they always leak. It doesn't matter how much you try to push it down, it'll leak somehow. And how it does that is different for everybody. Some people want to always prove themselves to other people. Some of us want to stay outside of social interactions in fear of if they see this part of me, they'll reject me. All stories, some are true, some are based on fact, but more often than not, we always inflate. But there's always one truth. And the truth is, if you do not confront them and understand these memories, then they will eventually control you. And they manifest in some way as a persona, a character, the performer, as I like to call it. One thing you can try to do is first understand that, before I get into that, understand this is normal, perfectly typical stuff. It's not out of the ordinary, and I don't want you feeling like this is unusual and you're something different. It's completely normal. But now the first thing we want to understand is we have to try to separate ourselves from the identity, the performer that we've been playing for such a long time. And a good way to start doing that is by journaling this character and almost observing it from the outside. Because when we embody it, as we usually do if we get carried away with it for a number of years, we embody it so deeply that it's very difficult to actually look at it without feeling emotional stimulus, heavy emotional trauma, pain, and then we want to look away and avert our eyes. So separate from it by writing it down. You can even visually imagine this character in front of you in the room. Maybe it can take the shape of an object. Maybe it can take the shape of a painting. I know it sounds silly, but oftentimes, when we separate, we can attach it to something different so we can actually look at it. And we want to observe it with curiosity, adventure, compassion, love, and a firm hand. And as we gaze upon it, what you want to try to understand is, what is it trying to do for you? What is it trying to protect exactly? And these are questions that won't come to you right away. But if you journal and you ask, quite literally ask, what is it that you want from me? What is it that you're trying to protect me from? you are going to get answers you would have never thought of because your brain will give them to you. Again, it won't happen right away. I'm actually currently doing this with one of my clients right now, and I'm letting him know it's not going to be instantly. It's not going to happen right away. These things need to rest and marinate, and you need to also have some other things in your life that you can connect to and reference that will sort of illuminate. But regardless, as you start to observe it from the outside, how it functions, what is it doing, what does it want from you, that is a chord that sinks all the way down into the unconscious mind, and it's going to eventually find a home in some memory. And oftentimes those memories get captured by archetypal energy. Archetypal energy is ancient. It's thousands of years old. And I also use it as a teaching method because I'm both, I like the practical, rational applications of self-help and self-discovery, but I'm also so captivated and fascinated by the things we cannot see. How oftentimes we can feel something internally and have it be matched by the outside world, as Jung would call synchronicity. The weirdest things where you have a dream and then the dream actually comes to fruition and you noticed it, or you made a call out of some gut instinct that comes in, and you make that call and you're right. How do we explain those things? Who knows, but it absolutely fascinates me. And so it's having the union of those two worlds coming together. And so as you start to observe, and it sinks all the way down, these archetypal energies, and the most common core are going to be your king, your warrior, your magician, your lover. For this video, I want you to channel the king energy. It can be, so one of my clients likes to call him the commander. That resonates more with him. The king energy, essentially, the archetype, contains your psyche. It sits at the center. It protects the border, has visions for the future. It grants blessings. It grants compliments and inspiration to its peers. It listens and it believes in justice and order. And so you want to look at yourself inwardly with that being the center. That the king, because you are both simultaneously the king and also the worshiper of that king. You get too much on either end, you're going into different directions. You're going to either hyper ego inflation or more suppressed energy. So you want to be able to strike that right balance. Calm, compassionate, loving, curious, adventurous. I always use those terminologies because the minute you judge, the minute you criticize, and you hate on an aspect of yourself, it's going to derail the progress you've been making. You're going to choke up. And so you want to allow those things to flow. Be open, be, as I call, emotionally agile. Let the emotions come and go. Don't try to restrict and pin or anything like that. And as you do this for a couple weeks, you're going to come across some heavy emotion. You're going to come across some heavy memories, and that is okay. That is part of it, because what you want to move towards is that ego-soul integration, no stone unturned within. And when you have no stone unturned, what do you play now? Because really imagine if you've uncovered everything and your complexes are somewhat understood and mitigated and controlled. You can't always control and pin them forever. They're going to shapeshift. But having the ability and the tools and the skills to tackle that going forward, what do you portray now? The ideal for me, as I think, is the fullest expression of the soul through the ego. Through the ego. And having the ego help and curate and make sure things don't get too astray. And also the soul making sure you stay in touch with the divine to some degree. And moving towards that as a lifestyle, as I call it, will present to you paths you never thought possible. The purpose you're going to feel. You will feel purpose almost instantly the minute you touch with it. And it's worth the trial. It's worth the pain. On the other end is going to be something absolutely magical. If this resonated with you, I would love for you guys to join my community. Again, click that button below. It'll send you over to my website and sign up to my monthly newsletter, and I'll send you my 3-step identity rebuilding guide as a thank you for being part of it. This is something I've always wished that I've had. This is something I've always wished I had when I was going through my identity loss for a number of years, and to have this now for other people is truly something absolutely amazing. and to read your comments and to read the things you guys have been going through is something truly inspirational for me, and I'm not kidding. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video.